What's up, everyone? Today we're going to talk about the fall bite. It's one of my lures of choice, and how the crazy weather we have down here in the southern U.S. can affect the bite this time of year going into the winter. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, everybody, welcome to today's episode of Bassin Biology. I'm your host, Thad Moody, and as always, let's talk some fishing. Today we have my good old-fashioned Sasquatch cup to keep us company. But, back on topic, sorry, a little everywhere today. Let's talk about some of the baits that I use down here in the south during the fall. How the crazy weather can affect the bite astronomically in different ways here in the southern U.S. because of our weather, and just what the fall biting baits are going to be like this time of year and later on. What I think they will be, from my opinion. I'm not always right. That's the thing about fisheries biology. It's not an exact science when it comes to getting fish to bite. So, first off, what kind of baits am I throwing this time of year? A lot of times I'm either throwing really noisy baits or more small finesse baits. And it really just depends on what type of weather we're having. As long as the water temperature is staying above 70 degrees in the mornings, if I get on the lake and it's like 69 degrees or 68 in that area, I'm not gonna throw top waters normally. But if it's like 74 and overcast or 70 and sunny, I will throw some top waters, and this is my top water of choice this time of year. Look at this beautiful blue on black Evolve rod sleeve, but black whopper plopper with the little bit of orange. Put that there, a little bit of orange throat right there on it. I really like these baits. I do love a buzz bait this time of year normally, but here lately they just haven't been biting as well as they have the whopper plopper. The black whopper plopper, I think, does really well this time of year because you can burn it through some areas. It's got grass still. You can burn it, stop it, burn it, stop it, burn it, stop it, and it's still got that good plopping noise. Still got that. Or you burn it instead of real slow. It makes somewhat buzz bait-esque noise. I know, depending on what buzz bait. It may not, but it does for the most part, and I'm probably gonna catch flack on that in the comments, but a black whopper plopper to me is just an ideal bait for this time of year. Next, this is a personal favorite of mine. It's a killer on Gunnersville too, over in Alabama. We got just that classic bone colored spook, all right? Whether you're walking the dog, giving it good heavy jerks, making some noise, or just doing the slow little zigzag to you. The white spook cannot ever be counted out. Don't know what it is, whether it's really good on overcast days, particularly good on overcast days. If it's, that water temperature 75, 78 degrees in that area, and it is overcast, pretty heavy all day, I will throw this all day long. Banks, fallen timber, standing timber, over the top of grass, around mats. This is my number one go-to bait. It's just an absolute killer this time of year. Next, we can go to one of my little smaller baits. This right here is the Tactical Fishing Pogue. It stands for P.O. Guppy. But this is a great bait this time of year. I think it's like 3.5 inches, maybe a little bit bigger, but it on a 1/4 ounce underspin, I'll either do the white Berkeley with the red eyes, or I will do the shad colored 6 cents one, which I actually prefer because the screw on lock with these is just an absolute killer. Now I will say too though, the MRE by Tactical Fishing on the underspin, maybe more so my go-to. It's just got that double tail. It's fantastic motion. I've caught my PB on it not once, not twice, but 3 times for length this year on that particular bait, especially early spring, which a lot of times mimics our late fall here in Mississippi. So a tactical fishing MRE or pogue on a underspin is just an absolute killer this time of year. You see them blowing up on top out there in the middle, just toss it out to them. If they're schooling, it's great bait. It's great to pull around timber, pull up close to the bank, especially as the fall transition comes up and they're feeding closer to the shore. You can burn it, you can slow it down. You can almost too, especially on the MRE, because it comes in it comes in this great color too, which y'all will know down here in the south we have a bunch of crawfish eaters. So it comes in this too, and those tails originally, it's maybe worked on the Ned rig originally, but you can just like bop it up and down off the bank or slow reel it where it's bouncing off the bottom, and it's that crawfish color's absolute killer, like that color right there, especially on like a darker head for it. Absolute killer this time of year for me. I know I said that about the Hoden Spook too. These are 5 of my baits that this time of year just are my go-tos. Have them tied on all day long, every trip. You can work this bait slow, you can work it fast, you can cover a lot of ground. Like I said, I prefer the 6th Sense one. I didn't have it tied on this past one because they were more keyed on white, and all I have is that herring, that blue and gray herring one for them. But that's what I highly recommend, is get you some of those and tie them on. And I'll run this one with a 15-pound fluoro. Cover a ton of water with it, and it's very versatile bait. I've caught many fish. I caught that 9.4, that 24 3/4 inch, that 24 1/4 inch, and a 24 3/4 or 23 3/4 inch fish on this year. So I mean, big fish love them, especially in our shad lakes here. We have a bunch of threadfin lakes, and that last spawn coming in, they've had where all the threadfin like that big, you see them school and toss it on it. Works good too if you got a brim heavy lake. They come with some brim pattern colors. Just try it out, toss it. Underspin to me is a very underrated bait. I've always got one tied on. You can tell, ask, Charlie Sanders Fishing, or any of the tactical fishing guys, Andrew Blair, all of them I always have an underspin with the MRE or a poke tied on. It's every single one of my trips have it, and every single one of them I've caught fish on it, especially tournaments. Next, a lot of people say it's not effective this time of year, but wacky style, weightless wacky worm. This is the Swagger Stick by Tactical Fishing Company with the spear point hook on it, the 2/0 finesse hook. And again, this is just fantastic rod, especially if you're kayak fishing. These rods float, and as y'all know, kayak fishing, stuff gets caught in trees real easy for us. So highly recommend the floating rods. But this bait right here, again with the Tactical Fishing Swagger Stick like that, they're salted. They don't sink quite as fast as Yamamoto Cinco, but I mean, it's close. It's better than the other brands, like I've tried Zoom or whatever the Strike King ones, stuff like those are. To me, the way these sink, they're not super fast. You get about a foot a second with them, especially out in deeper water. They're great to just cast out and drop down. But these baits are really effective this time of year. And I don't fish my whacker like a lot of people do. I skip, just going across the top of the water all the way to the bank. And that imitates a fleeing bait fish, so it gets the bass's attraction and attention. Attracts bass's attention. That's the words I'm looking for. So you skip it up there, and this past week, when I brought those two things home, that first place and that big bass, which was actually caught on that particular bait, I skipping up on the bank. I let it set for 5 seconds. As soon as it stopped skipping, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, twitch, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, reel it in. Just cover a ton, just like that underspin. You just cover a ton of water with it. Just skipping it. I don't let it sit there for some people let it sit there for 5 minutes. Just twitch, set. No, skip it out there. Give it 5 seconds. If you're in 6-7 feet of water, let it get to the bottom first, twitch. A few seconds later, reel it back in, skip to the next spot. Fantastic. If they're hitting top water, they'll do it. If you see them busting a lot of the times, like you, or you get a topwater blood and they miss a buzzbait or something like that, if you'll skip that wacky worm out there, they'll sometimes swing back around and hit it real quick. If they're busting out top and you throw that wacky worm out there, if there's any still in that area, they'll look, see it sink and think it's a wounded bait fish, and they'll hit it too. Fantastic follow-up bait. So far we've covered the underspin, we've covered the wacky worm, we've covered the chopo, our plopper, the walking the dog, and now just, again, beautiful sleeves. We have it's not really square, but it's flat side crankbait, somewhat shallow diver, about 7-foot diver. I like him, that chartreuse whitey green, because as we know, we've talked in other videos, chartreuse after a few feet turns silver. This is a great shad. It's got the black dot. Could be a shad, could be a bluegill, could be a green sunfish, could be all kind of bait fish. But these right here, especially if you got somewhat dirty water, bouncing off a rock, bouncing off the bottom, bouncing off timber, this time of year it's a must-have, and I always got it tied on for me. It's just this type of crankbait, little flat side crankbait. I'll throw a square bill too, do square bill a lot too in the shad pattern, but so far, the last 2 years, this particular color and pattern has been my go-to. It's made by Rapala. I don't know what it is about the flat sides. They seem just to hit a little bit more. You can see this thing is just eating up. And of course, the bill's eating up from bouncing off the bottom. But all that damage there, that's all fish. So that's all fish hitting it. About time to put that on the old wall of retirement right there. Bunch of old classic lures I have up there and busted stuff. But all these baits are really effective for me this time of year. And what I really look for this time of year when I'm fishing these fall transition bites, it's like the tournament I had last week. As you notice, I have not unpacked yet because I'm going fishing this weekend as long as the weather holds off. With Charlie Sanders Fishing and Francis Strand, hopefully. We'll do some more fishing, but this time of the year what I'm really looking for is a deep canal, deep channel and mouth of creeks and going all the way back. It comes up and goes out like that, gets somewhat shallow, somewhat quick, and I just find that this time of year, that's my best spot for fish, especially if I can find some sticks or sobs that's just like sticking up in the middle. So if I can like picture this as water, my fingers are sticks. If I can find like some sticks sticking up like that, I will skip that wacky worm, cast to him all around those areas. Those just seem to me right now. In Mississippi, we did have a late bluegill spawn too. We got a bunch of little bluegill like that swimming around those areas. I really feel like those are just holding key fish right now. The lake I fished at the tournament last week was a heavy shad lake. It's a Gulf walleye breeding lake. That's where they get some of their stock out of. So it's just pumped full of tons and tons and tons of threadfin. But they were not keyed in on the threadfin. They were none on bait balls. They were keyed on those brim, because brim have a higher caloric value this time of year for these bass, and they know that, and they're fattening up for the winter. So they were targeting the bluegill and stuff. So I was fishing shallow. Every fish I caught was in less than 4 feet of water. So that's why right now these type baits are coming in clutch for me. Fishing them in shallow. The wacky worm and the underspin covering a ton of water. The Hoden spook and the chopo is just absolutely devastating if there's a topwater bite. Those are my go-tos. Even if there's not a topwater bite, they will still get hit. You see, them bass schooling around or wolf packs and stuff. A lot of the times you walk the dog around, they'll tear it up. And then that classic crankbait. Crankbaiting is probably one of my favorite things to do, and I have caught a bunch of really big fish on it, especially this time of year with the weather like it is. But here's the thing about the South now. Let's talk about the weather and what it does. Oh, Sasquatch Cup. What will happen in Mississippi is you will need a jacket and long johns in the morning, and by lunch you're sweating and you're in short sleeves and shorts. I've seen many days in December where it's 75 and 80 degrees. 30 in the morning, 75, 80 degrees in the afternoon. And if you can find a warm day like that. Like right now it's lows in the upper 40s, low 50s, highs in the upper 60s, low 70s. And it's great fishing right now. As time progresses, you'll get lows in the 30s, highs in the 50s, but some days it'll hit 60 or 70. Now, if you can find that day where it's hitting 50, 60 or 70, real sunny, and the next day it doesn't have a high temperature drop off, like it's cool in the afternoon, but it's warmer that morning, that's a fantastic time to fish fall in the South. The fish just turn on for some reason when they're doing that. They absolutely turn on. And I fish mini tournaments, or just a lot of fun fishing. My tournament season's over for the year, but I do a lot of fun fishing that time of year, and it's a hoot because you'll get just tons and tons of wolf packs, and they will look like the water is boiling sometimes. It looks, tuna or it's bonito type of tuna technically, or something like that, or stripers boiling the water out in the ocean. It looks real cool. And sometimes you can cast in there and the second it hits the water, it's just boom, fish on. Sometimes they don't want nothing to do with it. And you really got to, they'll be boiling all around you, just everywhere. You can cast and throw 100 times in the middle of the boil or drag through the boil, and they don't want nothing to do with it. And that's when changing stuff up, like not what you'd normally do. That's where I'm talking about, throw that wacky worm in there, especially like green pumpkin. I mean, this boiling, you can hurl that thing over there, which I can. I don't throw a leader. I throw 15 pounds straight braid on that thing. I can hurl it with that 7.2 medium heavy rod. And as soon as it hits and just floats down, that boom, it just floats down, they'll swing back around and grab it real quick. It's a fantastic fall bait, or if they're boiling, just toss it in there. Now, if you've got that, that Chapo going, or you walking the dog and they blow up, miss, I can burn that thing back in sometimes, and then you scoop that wacky worm out there. Fantastic, especially this time of year, fantastic follow-up bait. Gives them more presentation, looks like a stunned fish. Then, let's see, of course, we talked about smaller paddle tails, smaller swim baits, your wackies. These small swim baits like this on an underspin or just straight up on a hook are very underrated for big fish. And I don't understand why people think you have to throw giant baits to catch big fish. You don't. You match the hatch. And don't get me wrong, people like Milliken and I'm gonna blank on his name. The Zaldane, the guy who streams in the elites. They have fantastic success with big glide baits, and normally you can always catch big fish on big glide baits. They just may be fewer and far between in these lakes where they don't have a lot of big forage baits. Big bass don't eat giant bluegill because they know it'll kill them. They eat smaller bluegill. If you've got a place with a ton of thread fin, throwing a huge gizzard shad bait, it's not gonna be super effective. But throwing a small, 3-inch MRE or 2.75 Kitech or that 3.5 Pogue, something like that, super effective. Now, if you find a lake that's got a mixture of gizzards and thread fin, I'll have a big glide bait and a thread fin tied on, or not thread fin tied on, but a small bait on a underspin tied on. I like the underspin because of the wheel blade up under. I think that extra shine just gives them a great attractiveness. And I'm all about throwing some big glides. I've caught big fish on 6-7 inch glides. I have. It's fun to me, really is. And during the winter, when it's colder, they can be super effective baits. They just take patience. It's basically musky fishing for bass. You're gonna have 1,000 casts to catch maybe one good bite. If you miss it, there goes that day. But I really like throwing this time of year fall now. As we get into cooler weather of winter, I'm talking, highs in the upper 40s, low 50s type weather, my bait selection will change drastically. But right now, those topwater baits making all kind of noise and stuff, water temperatures in the 60s, 70s, bouncing back and forth between them, sometimes in the upper 70s, depending on we've had a few warm days. you're going to have great success throwing the smaller baits that's matched this last, no, sorry, these last spawns that's come out with the brim and the shad. You have great success matching those. In the early morning, if it's really overcast, I cannot talk tonight. Overcast, you will have great success walking the dog, or throwing that choppo and pop around. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a black buzzbait this time of year more than anything, but I don't know why a bunch of my buddies are killing them on black buzzbaits. Every time they hit it, they've been knocking it up in the air for me. So figure, if you're gonna hit something that's plopping and knock it up in the air, I'm gonna chunk something that's got a bunch of treble hooks on it, so you hit it, knock it up in the air, it's gonna hook you in the head. And it did on Toledo Bend for me. I switched. They hit a buzzbait like 5 times and 6 times, threw it up in the air. Next day, black choppo plopping across the same grass mat. First blow up, hooked it. Second blow up, hooked it. Sometimes you gotta switch it up. And I'm just as guilty as I know I should be catching fish on this. I know I should be. But even if you know you should be, the fish don't know you should be all the time. Fish are some of the smartest dumb animals you will ever meet, especially bass. They are the smartest dumb fish around. They really are. And I know I've got 7 years of college behind me studying these creatures, plus tons of personal experience as a tournament angler, as a recreational angler, and as someone who helps manage the ponds and lakes. I've got a ton of experience with these animals. I've dealt with these animals more than I have most of my own family. I know what they should be doing. Still not always going to do it. That's why they make you so mad sometimes. Even with front-facing sonar, I have seen fish do things in front-facing sonar I never thought I would see. And I use front-facing sonar more, like I always talk about it, more as a learning technique. Because I like to see how these fish react to baits. Last time I went out, and I was really using it not to fish, but just to learn with. It's my favorite learning tool. I was seeing a bait I thought they would just straight attack, because in shallows they were hitting a crankbait for me, a shallow crankbait up. They were just bouncing off rocks, off the bottom, tearing it up. I go in 20 feet of water, throw a little bit deeper down, I think it was like a 7XD, and they're pulling that thing through. The fish ran from it. These bass would run, and I know they were bass. I was watching the school come up and blow up on top and go back down. They would run from this bait. Didn't want a thing to do with it. Chunk of spoon out there. Started off with a small spoon. Got a few followers. Threw a big spoon in the lake that has a few gizzards, but mainly threadfin. They followed it for a while. Threw it again. Another group followed it for a while. Never could get them to strike. Threw a big glide bait out there. They followed it all the way to the boat 4 or 5 times. Never could get them to bite. Downsized the glide bait a little bit. Got a strike, missed it. They followed jerkbait a lot. The wacky worm out there, let it sink, twitched it some. And this was an area where fish had been blowing up on the surface. So like it was a sunfish going down. I got a good reaction out of that. A couple follows, couple went in to look at it. 1 actual bite, 1 fish catch. So front-facing sonar, people say it's a cheater box. No, it's a learning tool for guys like me who want to see what these fish are doing, especially this time of year. I always wondered, one of these fish actually transitioning? How many is actually out there in the middle being pelagic? How many is up in these, or down in these coves? How many are on the shelf edges? How many are up in the timber? And how many is right on the bank? That front-facing sonar is a fantastic tool for learning where fish actually are. It doesn't make them bite. Because trust me, I watch more fish run from my baits than hit it. But it really shows you some of the reactions that you wouldn't think would happen to it. And when you're trying to learn about the fall transition, the winter bite, the winter to spring transition, the spring bite, the spawn and stuff like that, the spring to summer, how these fish are moving back and forth, how many are actually staying out there in the open and pelagic, how many's come up in these coves and wintering up around docks and stuff and in the grass. Front-facing sonar is an excellent tool to see, why are they running from this bait? I've caught a million fish on this bait. one of them I have, like I've caught so many fish in the past on this particular crankbait. It's a beautiful crankbait. It's a white silver-sided one. It's got a dot on that I drew on it. And I've caught tons of fish on it. But I said one day I probably cast it for an hour, nothing. I was like, I know these fish have bit this before, because the other day I caught 2 on it. And I'm looking now, instead of biting, they're running from it. So I don't know why it's how to get drug in the front facing sonar stuff, but it's an absolute learning tool. Front facing sonar can teach you more about what these fish are doing than just about anything else, other than me taking my dive gear. And yes, I'm a diver. People asked me before what that tattoo is. It's actually one of my spearfishing tattoos. I'm a big time diver. Other than me sticking on a tank and going down to these lakes where I've got a foot of visibility and worrying about gators, front facing sonar is the easiest way for me to learn about these fish. Actually, it's more effective because I really don't have much visual prowess when I'm in these dirty Mississippi waters, surrounded by big gar and alligators and snapping turtle and who knows what else. Water moccasins, rattlesnakes too. Rattlesnakes, big swimmers. I've seen lots of diamondback rattlesnakes in open water. Really surprised you on that. But you don't have much visual prowess either. But front facing sonar is a great learning tool. See what they're doing. Even if you're not fishing for it, I'll just cruise around and look. Side scan, big time side scan stuff. I love looking for structure and stuff side scanning. But the fall transition, it's here. It's in full swing. You got fish moving up shallow. You got some fish staying deep. And you got some big fish moving up shallow right now. Especially the ones who are cute on the brim eater specialties, the ones who are specifically brim hunters, they are absolutely up shallow right now. They're absolutely destroying brim. So toss out a small glide bait. Any of these other 5 baits right here I showed you, you will catch some fish down here in the south right now on them. And these, I call them shallow. They're 30 feet deep lakes, 40 feet deep lakes that have a lot of shallow bank to them. I'm not talking about like a Lanier over in Georgia where it's like 300 foot deep. You're looking for spots out there and pelagic groups that just have never seen a boat dock or a bank. I'm not talking about that, but that underspin combo is really effective on those too. I'm talking find you some back coves that got some standing timber, some rocks, and a channel cutting through it, and these baits will be absolutely effective for you. I'd stake my reputation on it. Now saying that, you have to fish them right. You can't just cast them. You gotta work them a little bit. Put a little pizzazz on them, y'all. Fish a little bit with them. Have fun while you're doing it. Fish is supposed to be fun. I take it pretty serious. A lot of people take it super serious and get real angry. That's not good. But never forget, fishing is just supposed to be fun. That's why we do it. It's a good time. It's a fun time. I don't know why I did that. But go out and enjoy fishing, guys and gals. Have fun. My tournament season's over for the year. Finished on a high note. Boom, still coming off that high right there. But my fishing season's not over. As I transition into hunting season here in the South, which is kind of in full swing in some parts, I'd probably do a little less fishing. Maybe one of the things where I go duck or deer hunting. This is that movie outdoors too, don't forget. Maybe a little duck and deer hunting first thing in the morning and then go fishing in the afternoon. And it's been warm enough here in the South, I will some days carry a bass rod to the duck blind with me or wherever I'm hunting. And if the ducks are slow, make a few casts out there to see if I can catch dinner in another way. And yes, I do eat bass. For those of you saying, no, don't eat bass. Eating bass this time of year, this is the best time of year to take fish out. If you're going to take a bunch of fish out of your pond, right now is the absolute best time to do it. 15, 20 pounds of bass per acre, take them out. They're less than 13 inches, take them out, fillet them up, make fish tacos. If you're going to plant a garden for next year, bury them in where you're going to plant your garden. Excellent fertilizer. Excellent fish tacos with the fillets. Excellent fried nuggets. Delicious. 13 inches down bass, eat them, enjoy them. It's part of it. More bass need to be eaten, taken out. All right, guys and gals, that's about it for today. Just on my baits, talked about transition a little bit. When y'all see me next, hopefully I'll have a fun fish story for you, and might even have someone like Francis or Charlie Sanders Fishing on here, or who knows, may get a big name on here like Andrew Blair Fishing or some of the other guys like that who pity me enough to come onto my show. Please, guys, I need good guests. And that's it, guys. Deuces. Tight lines, take a kid fishing, enjoy yourself, go out and be one with nature, and don't forget why we do it. See y'all next time. Bye.